Tim, Neil, welcome to 7:30.
Thank you.
Tim, how does it feel putting the band back together?
Well, it feels great. We had our first rehearsal a couple of weeks back, and we've got a new drummer and bass player with us this time. Our bass player, Nigel, wasn't able to do this tour, and we've always had a rotating drummer situation. But there's 6 of us in the room, and it was just great to play the songs again. We instantly clicked in. It was beautiful.
It's been a while since you last played live. You played at the Sound Relief concert for the Black Saturday bushfires in 2009. Neil, what's it like picking up the instruments for the first time after a long time? Does musical muscle memory kick in?
It really does. Yeah, the songs are sort of they're just residing in you, and little details can pass me by. The first time I was kind of determined not to rehearse before we got to rehearsal because I was curious to see how much my brain would deliver. And I'd say 80% of it was absolutely bang on, and then I realised I had a solo I'd forgotten about. So there's a slight embarrassment there. But by the second day, yeah, it's amazing.
You found the amp. Remember the amp?
Yeah. I discovered the amp that I used to play through. I hadn't played through this Rowland. Used to have a 160. This was a 120. It has a sound of the way that those records, True Colours in particular, the guitar really sounds like that amp. And I plugged it in, and it was like being transported, back to the future.
Instant, wasn't it? Instantly,
Yeah.
The sound was there.
And so that was really enjoyable. I rediscovered that.
So take us back to the early 70s and 72, Split Enz formed. Tim, what was the musical inspiration for you at the time? What was driving you as a musician putting that band together?
Well, I mean, we'd grown up during the 60s, and so, when we were like 13, 14, 15 years of age, we were exposed to this amazing kind of procession of beauty, when you think of the groups that were around then, and mainly groups influenced us. Of course, there were solo artists as well doing great work. But so the Beatles were paramount, and then there were many other bands, mainly from England, but they were kind of channeling a lot of American music, which we only found out or kind of went back to afterwards, because radio in New Zealand didn't play much. They weren't really that deep in what they played. So you're just getting the pop music of the time, but the pop music of the time happened to be the best music you could ever imagine. So Split Enz we were older by then, 21, 22, but that was our primary influence, I think. Yeah.
And Neil, you first started watching Split Enz from the audience as a teenager. What effect did their music have on you?
Well, I was 14 at the time when they started, and it was apparent straight away that there was something completely different about the way they approached music and imaging and their perspective on life, and the art students that Tim was becoming friends with at university. So the whole thing was incredibly romantic from my perspective. Going to school and all the people were listening to the Partridge Family, all the girls were listening to the Partridge Family, and boys, I'm not quite sure what they were listening to actually, but it was so different and so enchanting really for me. I was completely captivated and went as many times as I could.
And when did you know, Tim, that Split Enz was finally getting traction? You thought, gee, we're onto something here.
It came in sort of stages, like the first shows we did in Auckland, some of which Neil came to, as he was saying, were very one-off things. We'd do them like every few months, and we'd kind of organise a concert in a beautiful old theatre, His Majesty's Theatre in Auckland, which had a proscenium arch, and it just sort of suited our whole approach to staging and performance. And so, but it didn't pay the bills. It didn't, there was no kind of way we could pay for crew or go on tour very easily or anything. So that we came to Australia in '75, and I think that was when we became a professional band. I mean, we had played 3 or 4 shows a week, and it was really tough because we'd get 30 people in a pub in Geelong or something on a Wednesday night, and half of them would love us and half of them would hate us. So it was like that. It was step by step, but the people that loved us really loved us, and we became, I guess, a cult band, and that was the beginning of it.
And the Oz pub circuit is always fairly unforgiving and challenging. Did it make you better live musicians, playing
definitely.
all those concerts?
Oh, definitely, no question. We lost a lot of our preciousness about we have to have a real piano every night and things like that, which you can do in a concert, but in a gig in a pub, you roll up, you just got to be able to go with the flow a bit more.
I read you once shared a bill with AC/DC.
Yeah.
How did Split Enz go down with the AC/DC audience?
Not all that well, but I mean, it was an amazing experience. I remember Bond flying out over the crowd in a Tarzan suit, It was very impressive and really alien as well. Like, yeah, and there was Sharpies and people who just didn't like us.
So you joined in '77, Neil. What did it mean to you to join your brother and the rest of the guys in the band?
Well, I wasn't expecting a call. There was probably a romantic idea that I might join the band one day, but it was earlier than I might have imagined. Phil Judd had left the band suddenly, and they needed a guitar player. And it was a very Split Enz act in a way to invite me, and I hadn't played electric guitar ever before, only acoustic, and they knew I could sing and probably had potential, but it was a big move. But it was because I understood the aesthetic of Split Enz, and so within 3 days of getting the call, actually Tim did ring my mum to check whether it was okay first before he rang.
And what did she say?
They were supportive, weren't they, really?
I think so.
She wasn't
yeah.
worried.
I think she saw it as a kind of almost like a historical inevitability or something. It's like, oh God, I knew this would happen.
Yeah, doomed. And once I got the okay from that, I think I did actually have the cheek initially to say to Tim, oh, I better think about it. And I think it lasted about a minute,
Well, you just started a band, right?
Well, I just started a band, but it was really, I was never going to say no to that.
And off he went. So many great albums. True Colours, of course, stands out for lots of your fans. I Got You, in particular. Did you know when you were putting that song down that it was going to be such the massive hit it became?
Not really. I mean, we had a producer at that point, David Tickle, who'd come in and he'd just done a bunch of work he'd done some Blondie records with Mike Chapman and I think the Knack. So he had his mind fixed on, making hit singles. And I know he popped his ears up when he heard that song at rehearsal and one or two others. And he was very good at kind of focusing our attention on not letting it slide. Like making sure the drummer was just on the bass. It was the same beat and good fills where they needed to be, but not. And he stood in the room with us when we recorded it.
I remember hearing I Got You in Coolangatta. We were playing a show up there and at the Playroom, and it was prior to recording the album, but the band were playing it, and I got out the front and listened to it, and David was touring on the tour with us, David Tickle. And so he was mixing it. It was super loud. It sounded unbelievable. And I thought, yeah, it was actually a magic feeling for me when I heard it. I was kind of tingling,
What does it mean to you that there'll be people coming to your concerts who've come across your music but have never seen you live, now having the opportunity to come and watch you play live?
Yeah, well, that's a really nice thing that's happening in a way. There was a period where bands getting back together was seen in pure nostalgic terms. Now it seems like people realise those songs have lived, and they are continuing to live, and they're having second lives and third lives. And so when you step on stage, it doesn't feel like you're just doing a tribute to yourself. It feels like that music is alive again, and exciting to see people on the front mouthing every word, and they've obviously only grew up with it, and they've never seen the band. It's quite a beautiful thing, yeah.
And Tim, what does it feel to you that the band, the songs are still proving so enduring?
Well, it is, if somebody had said to me when I was 27 or even 37 that, here at 73 you'll be able to go out on tour and play these songs and people are going to really look forward to that and they're going to rush to see it, I would have thought that sounded kind of insane. It wouldn't have made sense to me because we were on a roll last century of kind of modernism and, pop music was quick turnover, 10 years maybe. The Beatles only went for 10 years or 11 years. And so those songs, and as Neil said, there is some nostalgia, but there's more than nostalgia going on because it's what's happening right there and then in that moment with those people, and some of them have never seen the band. I mean, we're only doing it really because we got tempted to do this show in Christchurch, and then all of a sudden we realised that all of us were kind of interested in doing this right now. Like, if you'd asked Split Enz 5 years ago about this, it just might not have happened. It just was a moment in time when we all felt quite stimulated by the idea and got into it. And so here we are, and we've always been like that. We've sort of operated on instinct and feeling, and that's the beauty of the band, I think.
Tim, Neil, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you there.